China. China. Alright. So this is my third recording. There was some background noise in the last one, so I deleted it and started over. I want you guys to get the best quality. Now, how do we use the swed library? And that is easy. You need a pointer. So here I have the weapon ammo for Assault Cube. Now Assault Cube is this old, very nice looking game where you have different weapons, you have a lot of levels. It's a old school game, like Half-Life Deathmatch, maybe. Don't get angry at me in the comments, I'm not a boomer. So, I have the weapon ammo pointer. We can change it to 50, to 20, to 999 with sheet onion. Now you don't want to use sheet onion for everything all of the time. You can do a lot of scripts with sheet onion, but I prefer C#. So the point of the swed library is to make this into C# project, so we can change this with the .NET framework. I believe .NET Core, or not .NET Core, but the Core as well. So you will need a pointer or a memory address or anything static to get to the ammo, whatever value you want to change. I have a lot of tutorials on this, so I will probably use the cards or whatever it's called to a link to another tutorial if you're not familiar with pointers. But when you have the pointer, you can move on with this tutorial. So we don't need to go to any weird website, we don't need to download a module which could contain viruses. We can get the swed library from Visual Studio's nuget package manager, which is very nice and practical. We can get it easily without any problems, and we'll create a new project here. So AC trainer 32-bit. Alright, perfect name. I did build the library in the .NET 6.0 framework. I don't know if it will create problems for earlier versions, but just to be sure, use the 6.0 version. Now, Assault Cube is 32-bit, so we will change the project to the according architecture. So go down to properties, go down to build, go down to platform target, select 32-bit. So 86 32-bit, 64 64-bit. A bit confusing, I know. Here we have your familiar form. We want a text box, so this is the text box that we will write the new ammo in. The one I showcased earlier. We have a button to change or to write to the game's memory. Let's change ammo there. Okay, we don't need much more at the moment. Double click on the form to get the load function, and here we have all of the code. We don't have the swed library yet, so let's go to project, manage nuget packages, and here we just click on browse. It's either my internet or my computer who are dying, but everything is going slow. Now, when we're here at the browse section, just write swed. You will get both 64 and 32-bit versions here. So we are using 32-bit, or we're using a 32-bit game, so we'll select the 32-bit one. We will install. Okay, and there we go. Now we can create a reference to it, so we will write using swed32. There we go. Let's declare it. Alright, so now we have an instance of the swed class, which contains all of the functions, all of the methods which we want to use for our trainer. We also will declare, or not declare because it's nothing here, but we will have a module. So for Assault Cube, in this case, we have the main module, which is the, or when you have .exe in your pointer. So if you have another module DLL, whatever you want to call it, no, don't worry about it. The swed library takes care of that. Now, to make, or so for the swed library to know the process, we use get process. We pass in the process name. So if you use the window name, which here it says Assault Cube, you might not get the correct results and the application will crash. So use the one that you find in Cheat Engine. So here we have AC client and not Assault Cube. AC client. Don't use .exe here. That will also return a crash. I have not cared about all of the errors which are in the class. Wow, my English sucks, but okay, enough of that. We have the module, which is the base module. So we use swed.get module base. And now, because we're using the .exe, we just write .exe. So if you're using, for example, Counter-Strike, it would be client.dll. Here we have Assault Cube, we have the .exe, so we just write .exe. This is that. Now we have pretty much initialized the swed library. Now we don't need to check if this pointer is above 0 or if the game is on, because the application will crash if it doesn't find Assault Cube. So there is no need for that. Yeah, double click on that button to get the function beneath. And now we will change the ammo. So into new ammo, which was the text box, textbox1.text. So we parse this and then we write it using swed library. So since it's a pointer, we want to declare a new variable for the local player. So it is probably the local player. I haven't really tested it that much, but it seems to point to our player a lot of the times, and with the offset 140 we get the memory, or the ammo of the rifle. I'm sorry, I'm a bit sick, got a cold, can't think straight, but we have our local player, which is swed.read, and if you write .read, you can see that you get all of these amazing methods. So you can use read matrix, you return 16 floats, which is for the view matrix. You can read an integer, returns an int. You get the point. You return all of the normal values that you would use for a trainer. So here we have a vector for 3D coordinates, read bytes, read floats. A lot of amazing stuff, but we're reading a pointer, so we will use the read pointer. We use our module, that was the .exe, and now we have our first address. So just copy paste, make sure it's in hex, and there we go. Now that we have the local player, we know that the next offset is 140 for the ammo, and we don't need to read again, because then you would just get the ammo. What we can do now is use swed.writeBytes. We use the local player now, so this one, and now we can add the offset here, so we don't need to read every offset. That would just, it would return the ammo. I did that mistake when I was when I started making trainers and so on, but just add the last offset here when you write, and now it's a new byte. So I haven't added the write int, write float, and everything like that. That's because you can just use bitconverter.get bytes here and pass in whatever value you have. So we're passing the new ammo in the bit converter to get the bytes to write bytes. I will add the write int, write float, all of the stuff to making trainers easier, but not for now. I'm too lazy. Use bit converter for the moment. Alright, let's test it out. This is not good coding. A lot of stuff will just crash this program, so take it with a bit of salt. Use your own brain capacity to make it safe or whatever. So it seems that our trainer is working. And this is what it's all about. 2 lines of code here and 3 here, and you're pretty much done. That was it for the 32-bit version. Now we will take a look at the 64-bit version, but I will take a break. See you guys in the next part. Okay, second time recording. I have opened Helltaker in 64-bit. It is in Unity, and you have a certain amount of moves. I have 18 now. You lose 1 each turn you move. I have a pointer here which at the moment, remember that at the moment, points to that value. So if I change it to 222, it doesn't go down. Let's make a trainer out of this. Remember, don't use this method for Unity applications, because the pointers won't work. It will just change. And it will point to something else. Let's make another forms application. Well, let's call it wow. And we're using the .NET version 6.0 because the swed library was built in that version. As I told you guys earlier, I don't know if it will create problems for those who are not using the newest version. I don't care. Get the newest version of Visual Studio and .NET. All right, we'll go to project properties. We need to set it to 64-bit now. So platform target 64-bit. There we go. Double click on the form to get the code beneath. Now we add the swed 64-bit version. So go down to search again, swed, and we install the 64-bit version. Wow, my computer is taking heavy hits, heavy damage. Okay, now that the library is installed, we will write using swed 64. So now it's 64 and not 32. Wow, very cool. Let's create an instance. And let's create the module. So for this example, we do have a different module rather than the base or the main module, which is this mono for the mono behavior, perhaps. I don't remember anything about my Unity classes because I don't like Unity. Okay, let's initialize. So get process, and it's held taker here with a small t, and let's get that module. Swed.get module base, and now we copy this module, mono, whatever. And we're done. Let's go and create a text box. So the only difference between this and the 32-bit version is you are dealing with longs, or in 64. Change moves this time. Double click on the button. int.parse text box again. We have two offsets now, so we'll have to read this, and write when we only have the last offset left. So copy this address. Now we create we'll call it base address because I don't think it's it is not the local plane or anything like that. I know that, so we'll just call it base address this time. And we use swed.read pointer. Now you have a long addy for address. We use the casting, so we have the long and then the module, and then we have a long offset, and now we have read the base address. We will read the next offset, so we'll use read pointer again, base address, and what was the offset? C0. There we go. And since it's only one offset left, we don't need to read that. It will return the moves, not our target. Let's write bytes, use the base address, which is not the base address anymore, or more of a buffer. Yeah, it should be a buffer instead, but I don't care. I don't want to record this again. The offset was ED4, and the new bytes will be bit converter get bytes, and we pass in our that is not a variable. So new moves, and there we go. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't, it should crash. That's an indicator of something being wrong. You won't see it if you change it to something large, so we'll change it to 10. Now if we move in game, it should be 9. Wow, amazing. Let's change it to 999. Wow, that's so cool. So, by following these simple steps, you should be able to make a trainer for single player games and so on. Don't make it for multiplayer games or where you can cause any damage and so on. Don't be rude. That's it. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but it will be something. See you guys.